G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in on the south side of the map, playing in the colour red. As the Abbasid dynasty, it's Fei-chan. And on the north-west side of the map, playing in the colour pink. As the French, it's Louis MT. Louis stealing away the colour of Fei. For anybody who's watched a couple of Fei games, you'll notice she loves to play in pink, but Louis managing to snipe it away from her. But I guess it's kind of rare to see people get colours sniped from them. I know over in Age of Empires 2, Viper loves to play with yellow. And there's been tournaments. I don't remember him protesting, but I remember him being very upset that he couldn't get his yellow colour. But anyway, we move on, we move forward, and we look forward to a good game today because we've got an interesting matchup, the French versus the Abbasid dynasty. Typically, this matchup is considered to be an interesting one because of the Abbasid's camels. The Abbasids have a unique unit, two unique units in fact, the Camel Rider, the Camel Archer, and camels produce a aura. It's a debuff aura, and it reduces the amount of damage that cavalry is going to be doing throughout the game. And this means that once Castle Age comes through, even in the Feudal Age, if you've got a Camel Archer out, it means that you're going to be able to put a huge amount of pressure onto any cavalry, and it kind of disincentivizes the French player from going into cavalry, just knowing that their cavalry is going to be a lot weaker against an Abbasid player. So your numbers aren't going to feel as comfortable. You know, as an example, you might be thinking, oh, I've got 20 knights, I'll be able to take this fight easily. But against the Abbasid, you underestimate exactly how much you're going to be able to do, or rather overestimate how much you're going to be able to do. But anyway, we look to continue on. Now, one thing to note is we have got a trading post in the middle here of the edge of the map, and I would say this is probably a bad decision to trade. So I don't think Fei's going to be looking for trade here. We do see the House of Wisdom is going to be coming up. Now, I've actually played against Louis on this map. In fact, almost in the identical orientation. The map was a little bit different, and he was also playing French on that map, and he went for a huge amount of trade. And I think I was playing as English, and he literally went for just a crazy number of traders. Fortunately, on that map for him, his marketplace or trading post was right in the corner, so he was getting great value. Compare that over to where Fei currently sits, and I mean, their trading posts in this game, it's looking a little less possible for those trades to come through. So it's going to be the School of Cavalry coming through for Louis, and House of Wisdom yet to click up for Fei, but I expect that it's probably going to be an economic wing coming through for her. It's very common that you see the Abbasid dynasty go for this kind of economic wing into get out of town. It's the military wing. What the heck? Okay, so normally you would see, say, an economic wing, 2 TC, barracks defense, into a stable, longer feudal age, very happy to fight against the French. But here, this is kind of interesting because it's a little bit weird to me to go the military wing in this situation, because the military wing, for anybody who doesn't know, it's been recently buffed up military wing. It used to provide 2 spears, 1 archer. Now it provides 2 spears, 2 archers. So there's a nice little additional unit that you get from that. But I think in the scheme of things in this matchup, it doesn't really provide much, right? Like, as long as you've got 1 knight out, I mean, 1 knight's probably going to have trouble against, you know, 2 spears and 2 archers, but realistically, 2 knights, I think you should be fine. So I'm curious to see how Louis reacts to it, but we do see now the age up is about to come through for Louis MT. We're right on board with him, as the first of the knights will be coming out very, very quickly. Expect him to put it in queue straight away, and there we go. Almost loses the scout right there. No garrison from Fei, but had that been an English town center, or had there been villagers under the TC, it would have been a different story. I just realized you can see the carcasses of dead sheep under the TC through the fog of war. That kind of makes sense. But I mean, you can't see deer carcasses through the fog of war, so maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe it's a bug. Maybe you can't actually. You know what? We're gonna have to check that one out later. Anyway, age ups coming through, and of course, with the age ups come double broadaxe, the upgrade for increased wood gathering. Nothing yet over on the mining camp, but I would expect that we'd probably see a mill drop down shortly. Maybe a wheelbarrow or 2 to come through. Louis, of course, infamous for his 1 base French style. He'll go 1 base, just look to maximize the efficiency. And the double broadaxe to me signals the fact that he's somewhat intent on playing it out in Feudal Age. Maybe going to be mixing in a few archers here. I wonder if he's spotted out. He has spotted out the military wing. Scout is in the back of the base, so that answers the question. And going straight into stable. Now, we see a single spear. There's the second spear, so 2 spears, and the 2 archers going to be moving out across the map. And this is a pretty decent force, right? Like, you're not going to be able to stop 2 knights with this, but you're going to be able to put on pressure, and you're going to be able to force this back. Now, we do see The second knight, and I apologize to all my colorblind friends. I'm going to have trouble this game as well, trying to spot the pink versus the red unit on the minimap. But we do see now, knight in the middle of the map. Going to be running into a couple of spears, cops, big damage into the face. At the same time, that attack over on that east side of the map, not yet coming through. And look at this very heavy feudal age pressure now coming out from Faye. Now, keep in mind, she can always move into fresh food stuff. Now, the recommendation is that players don't do that until their second TC. But look at this. Going to be able to force the French player off the second TC. We just talked about the fact that Louis loves to play that one TC style. Yet here we see him going into a second TC up against the Abbasid dynasty. So interesting decision. Looks like a villager did get taken down a phase. So a little bit of a lack of perhaps attention towards that backside, understandably, when you're getting pushed in. Put Louis in a little bit of trouble. Both of these resources towards the top side. Now, very easily, he could just rotate over onto the backside. There's a lot of great expansion prospects out here. He's got the beer. He's got the deer. He's got the berries, which, as you would call the dairies, or the deer, or the beer, rather. But we see a second villager going down for Faye there. Looks like a third one almost going to be going down, but fortunately, not going to be the case here. This villager should hopefully head back towards the town center. Take a sheep or two, mate. It's a little bit safer underneath there. Faye still putting on pressure towards the center, though. I'm loving this aggression from Faye. Really smart use of the military wing, because this buys her time, right? Because now she's able to be aggressive and defensive, but this was my fear. Once the two knights come out, you're just going to be able to give them the runaround like this, and you can see point blank charge comes through, and now the knights should be able to clean up the spears. And once the spears are cleaned up, then of course the archers will go down. So that was kind of my fear on moving into the military wing. Like, it makes a lot of sense in some matchups, say against the Ottomans. It's really, really nice against the Ottomans because it deals with their early aggression, and then you can go and force idle time against them. But against the French with their early knights, I feel like it's a bit painful. But so far, seems pretty strong from Faye. I mean, realistically, Louis got a nice little lead, and he's going to start working towards that second town center. Faye going to be doing the same thing. Throws down the barracks in the base. Now, remember, to keep up with the French player, you're going to need more than 2 TCs. The French do have that advantage when it comes to training villages. Their villas only take 17 seconds. So you extrapolate that over the course of, say, 5 minutes or so, and this is going to be a pretty decent lead. But the third knight now coming out. Archer probably going to be having to throw away or get thrown away right there. We start to see archers now going to be coming out from Louis. He's been playing a pretty heavy archer, or rather a cavalry comp here, and we see him moving into chivalry. So looking to get those heals through on his own knights. So very, very smart move there, considering he is looking to play a bit of a more heavy feudal style. Right on board, though, with Faye. See how she looks to play. So typically in this matchup, what you're going to see players do is either go culture wing. We've seen culture wing into military wing before, just to get the camels out. So if you go for the military wing in the castle age, it will give you the 2 camels very quickly. So we've seen players look to do that. We've also seen them do economic wing into military wing. And the reason why is economic wing obviously reduces the cost of those town centers down. But mainly in this matchup, you want to get to 3 town centers. It's very key, because if the French does look to play in a 2 town center setup, it's going to mean that you need to think about that 3rd town center. And so getting that little bit of a cost reduction through definitely helps you out quite a bit. And we do see Faye puts the town center down on the stone, which to me indicates that she may be planning for a 3rd town center. And if that's the case, I respect that. I think that's a pretty smart move from Faye. She hasn't picked up boot camp just yet, which makes sense. She's playing a very mobile cavalry comp here. But against the increasing number of knights, this will get difficult, even with the camels in the back. Horsemen just aren't going to be doing nearly enough, and you can see right now, they get a nice little reduction on damage. The charges are going to come through. She wants to try and run away, but a little bit of a block comes through. The scout was coming to the front, manages to sacrifice the scout for a bit of damage there on the camels. But unfortunately, losing the scout is going to hurt here. It means that you're not going to be able to keep tabs on Louis as much with regard to his expansions, and we do see that second town center now coming through. Louis doesn't look like he's going to be moving into a 3rd TC, and I think it's very much the same, the way that the French play compared to the Chinese, in that you can just go, like, 2 town centers with the French feels very much like, I don't need more than this. Like, there are circumstances where a 3rd TC with the French can make sense, but to me, it just seems like 2 TC French is just, you know, that is the city limits. That is the nut bush. And, yeah, I feel like going more than that, you're kind of losing out, because you get such an advantage from, say, castle age tempo or big masses of knights that the 3rd TC, I mean, you're already scaling into the late game with the 2nd TC. So it kind of makes sense just to stick it out on 2. We do now start to see units moving down for Faye. She knows that there could be enemy positions out here. We see spears moving out together with the villagers, and it's quite a bit of a raiding force here. We're right on board now with Louis as he looks to defend this position. Now, a castle age may be coming through for him shortly. He hasn't thrown down more production. And normally at this point, so after the second town center's come down, you would expect to see more production being thrown down. Additional stables would be a real key factor here, but we don't see that at all. To me, it looks like this is just going to be straight intent to go to castle age. Now, a pretty decent raid coming through, but the spearman numbers are good, and we do see that third town center now coming through from Faye. And Louis will scout that, naturally runs past it as it does get put down. So he's going to know about the 3 TCs, but I think he's still going to be quite happy with this because there's still, like, he's obviously got a nice villager lead. He's pushed up he's taken out 3 vills this game, and he's got that extra reduction in villager train time. So, I mean, realistically, he's going to be pretty happy with this. I mean, I don't actually know how to calculate the French villager reduction, how it stacks up against the 3 TC of the Abbasid. I would definitely say that the Abbasid would be ahead. But the question is, you know, when does it actually cross, and then when does it actually start making a difference? Because if you're 7 villagers behind, the third, you could assume that the third town center, it's going to take 7 rotations of that town center to come through before you're at parity, but it's not. It's not the case because the French villagers train faster. So it's probably closer to something like 10 or 11 cycles of that town center. So we're talking pretty close to maybe 4 minutes before you're at parity. And then after that, I mean, you're going to have to get ahead. So the third TC, it's going to take some time here for Faye to pay off, but she does a pretty decent job down here. Nice little body blocks coming through, but it looks like the knight is going to be able to escape. Over on the other side of the map, though, Louis intent on going castle age, stacking up plenty of resources. We'll switch over so that you can see the income for these players. And it looks like he's going to be heading into a blacksmith, so nice little upgrades and big raids coming through. She's got to be careful, Faye. Got a lot of villagers in here, but only space for 10 in the TC. More archers coming through, and interesting that she's still going so heavily on archers. Normally in this situation, you'd expect just to see, say, 1 or 2 camels and lots of spears, lots of horsemen. Because the spears and the horsemen are going to do well against the archers and the knights, and then the single camel or 2 is just there to put out that debuff. But we do see the archers now coming through. Faye really moving it out with quite a cavalry heavy composition here. Age up about to come through from Louis here. I would suspect he moves into the Royal Institute in 1v1. We've seen this a really popular landmark. Could look to go down with these villagers right here. Chuck the Royal Institute somewhere down here, but it is going to be the Royal Institute, but instead, it's going to be with the Woodvilles. Nice little safe position here towards the back of the base. So really no surprise here. Now, one of the things to note is when he ages up to castle, he's going to be looking for a lot of upgrades. Most notably, going to be looking for royal bloodlines. We can see he's adding in more knights at this point in time. But by going into royal bloodlines, you're almost committing yourself, I am going to play cavalry. You don't have to, but if you pick up royal bloodlines, then that is going to be the main thing that you're going to be looking for. The other thing to note that we could be going into is a cheeky Gambeson's tech, maybe even a crossbow stirrups tech, which we don't really see a lot of. And to be honest, I'm kind of surprised. You know, it's kind of wild to me that crossbows in the current meta feel really good. It seems like this unit that's just incredible. And as a result, I feel like with French having the best crossbows in the game, you would think that they would just be like more than happy to be spamming them out, but yet we still don't really see Arbitration spam too much. Nice little raid coming through. Obviously on the ball here, these vills are a bit exposed. The consequence of having no outpost out here is that you do lose a couple of vills out here, but we do see the Royal Institute coming through. It's got a couple of techs available. We talked about Gambesons already. We've talked about crossbow stirrups. There's always the prospect of, say, a royal bloodline tech coming through as well. I tell you what, watching Louis play the French, it really makes me want to play the French. I love this civilization. It's such a fun civ. And I feel like you can pretty much do this in almost all circumstances, right? Like, open with a couple of knights, get that second TC down, go up to the castle age, get your Royal Institute, and then just look to put pressure on in the castle age. And I feel like Louis is just in such a great spot here, despite being outnumbered pretty significantly in this matchup. And take a look at this. Big push coming through. Veterancy already through on those Royal Knights. Counter-attack on the backside, as well as Faye looking to put pressure on, but Louis is going to spot it. And now we can see that the outpost will get sieged down. No ball for you. Fortunately, not like the soup. Walls now coming through over on this south side for Faye. I like the way that she's playing as well. And one of the things to note with Abbasid is you can feel very comfortable about just playing a longer feudal age. Don't ever feel the need as the Abbasid dynasty to age up in emergency. Really not the case. I think there's a couple situations where you could do it. Like, I'm thinking maybe you're against a Chukunu push and you go 2 TC fast castle. Then you really want to be clicking up because you need to get that mango out ASAP, or a lancer or 2. But in this situation, I feel like you can just play, you know, you've got the phalanx spears. you've got boot camp that's already come through as well, so they've got a bit more extra health on them. So you've basically got veterancy on these spears anyway. So very, very much so happy to fight against these with the spears. And she's got really good numbers, honestly. Single camel on the field at the moment for Faye. She's got to be careful not to lose this camel. And there it is, going down. So with that, no camels. And with no camel means no reduction in damage. Spear's got to be moving forward here. Numbers looking pretty good for Faye, but she's got to be careful about this push that's coming out from Louis. Not turning around the spears. There we go. Gets the skewer under the sacred site. Badge, I guess we could call it. Gets eaten alive, though. Got to be careful. Oh, my lord. Look at the numbers now coming through. Louis with huge amounts of knights from that bottom side. Royal Bloodlines is going to be coming through here. It'll take 90 seconds, so still some time before that hits. And Faye will be looking for that castle age. She's starting to pick up her upgrades as well. +1's on the way through. We see an absence of the mining upgrade, but with the exception of that, she's picked up pretty much everything here. Looking for fitted leatherwork after this, I'm sure. Needs to be throwing down additional barracks or rather barracks. And she is. So how many barracks do we have at the moment? 4. Definitely towards the right number. I'd be going even more than that at this point, though. Just because of the threat that you're going to be up against with those knights. All right, well, push coming out from Louis. He's picking up +1 ranged armor, realizing there's a lot of archers here to deal with. Veterancy's come through on his own archers. And Golden Age Seer 2 gets activated for Faye. She's doing well holding in this matchup. For anybody unfamiliar with Faye, currently sits about 1800 ELO against Louis, about 2k ELO. So a big difference between those two, but obviously both of them well and truly conqueror 3. So do not be fussed about their skills. I'll say that much. We see lumber preservation coming in, as well as iron undermesh, still coming through for Louis at the moment. And fitted leatherwork going to be coming in for Faye. Looking to stay alive a little bit longer, but Culture Wing going to be coming in for. I guess this makes sense, right? Like Culture Wing makes sense going into the mid game because it's going to mean that you've got preservation of knowledge. That's going to give you quite a bit of ability to upgrade or get those upgrades in for slightly cheaper, as well as reducing down the cost of Imperial. Reduces it down by 20%, so you're basically paying the cost of the Swabia that the Holy Roman Empire would normally get to pay. Knight Raid coming through, a little bit of a quick wall from Faye. She's going to try and keep these knights out. But there is a little bit of a gap here. Really well done. Honestly, impressive walls coming in from Faye. And now those knights going to have to head out. Beautiful quick wall from Faye. That was incredible stuff. That was AoE 2-esque. You know, we've mentioned it twice before, or once before in this game. Now we mention it again. Very AoE 2-esque coming through from Faye. That was an incredibly clutch quick wall, saving what could have been, you know, close to, I'm assuming 12 villages if those knights had gotten through. And speaking of knights getting through, she's got to be careful now. Spears on the front line, managing to pinch the skewer off one of those knights, but she's slowly losing spears. More reinforcements coming to the front. Where are the rest of her units? They've got to be on the north side, and indeed they are, looking to reinforce, regroup with everything she's got down here. She's trying to take out these individual knights on the front line, but she does barely any damage to them, only 1 damage a pop. So she really needs to try and fire down on these archers at the backside. Spear's going to be coming through. She's still training units. We can see them in queue at the moment. 5 spears in queue. And those knights look like they are going to be making it around that wall, trying to come through. There's a lot of villagers on that top side. Could be some big damage done through here. Plenty more knights looking to run through. 28 villagers on that gold mine at the back. Will Louis find it? That's going to be the question. The age up about to come through. 10 seconds. Not long to go. Nice little skewer on those knights, but still 2 knights down to the south, and you can see them on a route down towards this position on the 3rd town center, and the castle age comes through for her. So she'll be looking to move into camels, looking to get those upgrades through. And there's the upgrades. Veterancy on spears, veterancy on longbows, and of course, looking to pick up preservation of knowledge as well. But she can't wait on those upgrades. Needs to get them through imminently. And subsequently, we see them coming through. Louis having a field day here. The consequence of not getting those walls up in time really are that she's losing out on quite a bit of idle time here. We can see those knights are doing a little bit of a run around, taking out villagers on the south side here. We do have textiles through, so it's going to be a little bit longer. Manages to hit 1. More pressure on that top side. Scout going to get found out. Vils. There were Vils up here apparently. Are their berry baskets full? My lord, they're carrying 30 food? How do these villagers carry 30 food? Are you serious? That is so much food. How are they even carrying that? Wheelbarrows an extra 5. Is there an upgrade that I've missed? I don't even... So she loses... That's going to be 5 bills up there that she's lost now. So she's starting to lose quite a bit of villagers. 16 villagers total so far throughout this game. Men-at-Arms going to be coming out. Was she on a deer and then moved to the berries and hadn't dropped it off yet? I think that might be the case. I think the villager might have been on deer and she moved it up to the berries, didn't build the mill, and it was carrying 30. I think that's the only explanation, because if I remember correctly, villagers on berries will go up to 13, 18 with the wheelbarrow. Oh gosh, the big fight breaking out, but I want to know about the berries. There you go, 18. It dropped off. So that's where it comes from. That makes sense. Crossbow mass starting to build here. Really need to see a couple of camels coming out though for Faye. Imperative that we get even just 1 or 2 camel riders out to help deal with these knights. Get that debuff coming through. Men-at-arms on the backside going to be pushing out with a couple of crossbows, but the archers aren't really going to be able to do too much against those men-at-arms. And Faye under so much pressure here. You can see she's trying to get everything together, but just struggling. The outpost does get sieged down. She cancels it. I think it was, actually. Gotta be careful of an overchop. I think an overchop might exist right here. I'm not even sure it's gonna matter because the gate's gonna be going down. Looks like she falls back away from that position. Men-at-arms able to clean up the rest of these archers. We can see there were some vills that have gone down. She's lost 20 so far this game. Moss gonna get thrown down. Mangonel's up. Oh, big damage on the Mangonel. Veteran archers gonna be copping another shot to the face, but Louis moves it back. Focuses instead down on those veteran Royal Knights. There's a gate over here, so she could double back through. Knight's now going to run down towards this southern position. Faye really needs to move into camels right now. I can't help but feel camels are so big for her here. The problem just becomes food economy. Where does she get the food from? I mean, we're playing on Lipany here. Food resources are plentiful. But she just doesn't have any food in the bank. Only 810 food a minute. Needs to start transitioning over to farms, I think. Lots of resources in the bank to do it. Villagers unable to get through. I suspect, was Louis looking for a keep? I think Louis might have been looking for a keep on the gold here, but Faye's already walled it off in the air. There we go. We see the keep immediately coming up. So I suspect Louis might be looking to prevent that gold from being taken. Doing a great job with gold control, and he's already on the north gold. Perfect little timing for Louis. Wallalol on the backside, trying to keep these knights away from the villagers. Spears together with the men-at-arms. We'll be able to find it. One of the things I often talk about in my coaching, which if you're interested in checking out, I'll leave a link in the description to where you can catch it on Patreon. But as the mid-game comes around, one of the key factors is gold control. You might not need the gold. You might be playing Holy Roman Empire. You might have, you know, all of the relics in. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. You still need to control that gold. Prevent that enemy from picking up their gold. And we can see now, nice little cleanups coming through from Faye. She's cleaning up a lot of these knights here. We did see a Mangonel lost in the middle, but still we don't have that full wall coming through. And that's really what's killing her. I mean, we've talked about this quite a bit throughout this game already. The quick wall... Excuse me, I did like a little burp right there. I don't know if you guys heard it. She did like a nice little quick wall down here, but never managed to complete it. Now, granted, as the Abbasid, you don't want to be deleting buildings because you want to be trying to hit that maximum number of buildings. But unfortunately, it's preventing her from finishing off this wall, and you can see that units are just streaming through her base at this point. And this is what makes it so difficult for her, because she's really not moving into lancers, she's not moving into camels at all, and so she's just trying to play the English style of infantry, and this isn't good. Vills are actually being tracked as they run through this gate on the top side. Expect to see more knights trying to connect with them. Sacred Victory is approaching. All 3 sites now captured rather, by Louis. Nice little defensive keep, and she's going to throw farms down underneath the keep. Definitely the right call from her. Slowly bringing that food economy back up, but you can see only less than 500 food a minute at the moment, attempting to take the sacred site. She's actually got an imam on the sacred site. She was looking to pick it up herself. Vills, they're going to be doing a little bit of battling out with each other. That's my gold. No, it's my gold. No, it's my gold. No, it's my gold. Villagers build the outpost and then just go back to work. Still Faye struggling with these knights inside the base. That full wall still not complete. I tell you what, I'd just love to see even something behind, you know, like deleting this house. It's so hard, right? Because you're playing as the Abbasid. You can't really afford to do that. Otherwise, you will lose the network. I think that even if you end up deleting, say, something like this, it's just going to lose all of these. Makes it really tough. Villagers getting chased away. We can see a couple knights in there. Still yet to take the sacred site. Sitting at about 20%, 30% on that sacred victory. Going to be coming through. And now men-at-arms looking to try and block through. It's going to be a keep thrown down from Louis. Really smart move here. Imperative. But Faye going to be going for a keep of herself. You want the gold? Bad luck. It's my gold. No, well, guess what? Today, nobody gets the gold. But it does give Faye a little bit of an opportunity to go up to the top side of the map. There's still lots of resources up there, and it will mean if she takes these berries that she's not actually going to be needing to add in farms. But look at this. Keep gets cancelled. Faye going for the quick wall in. Watch out, watch out, watch out. We often talk about the top. Oh, he walks through the pillar. The pillar wasn't cancelled. And he Faye accidentally cancels the keep. I don't know if that was intentional. I'm pretty sure it was an accidental keep cancel. She wants this keep. That's a great keep location. You need to put that keep up. Maybe is she thinking about doing it back at home? No, she rebuilds it. Oh, terrible situation right now for Faye. Incredibly unfortunate mistake. Now, the worst case scenario right now is if a couple of knights make their way up towards that position. You can see inside the base of Faye this whole time, she's on 65 vills. She's on 78 villages right now. I mean, realistically, she should be maxing out. She should be on 140 at the moment, but she's not. Louis just done such a great job. It feels like 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago that we were talking about Faye needing to get those walls down because she'd lost, what was it, 15 villages or something? And now we see that Faye's lost 65 villages. It's a huge amount. Knights now up towards the top side. No spearmen here to deal with this pressure. And it looks like it will be an easy cleanup here. Archers should be well and truly able to pick off the remnants of it. And really well played by Louis. He's still got that sacred victory approaching. He never lost out on it. But there is a single man-at-arms who's in the Z configuration, the line formation. So I think that will come undone, unfortunately, on the top side. We now start to see enlistment incentives coming through as well for Louis. He's playing an incredible French game at the moment. I really can't go back to it. Faye's quick walls just going against her right there. I can't believe that. You know, she almost locked it in. So what did she need to do there? She needed to throw down the wall and then delete the pillars immediately. So for anybody who doesn't know, you can walk through a pillar. Or if the pillar is incomplete, then you can walk through that pillar. And I actually remember watching a game where Salami, I'm not even kidding you, he was playing as the Delhi, he walls a sacred site in the middle, and he leaves the pillars open. So he never completes them. And the enemy moves onto the sacred site with like 6 knights, and he cancels the pillars on the corner. A good game's just going to get called. Faye says, I can't do it from this position. But anyway, the knights get trapped inside, and then Salami does Salami things. Anyway, fellas, I'm going to leave a link in the description of where you can go and watch Faye on Twitch. Louis, he does stream. I don't know where it is, but I'll leave a link to Faye. Anyway, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.